So you have created your foundation. You've gotten organized. You've created your design and built your dream team. What comes next? In this video, I'll be walking you through step number 5 of 7 and the 7 steps to planning and creating a wedding you love. Hi, I'm Jamie Chang, your destination wedding planning guru and designer of joy at Mango Muse Events and the creator of Passport to Joy, the step-by-step online wedding planning course for couples. And I share real and honest and useful wedding planning tips, tricks, and advice you can use to help make planning your wedding easy and joyful, so you can create a wedding you love. Because, let's be honest, wedding planning isn't always very happy. Sometimes it's stressful, overwhelming, and sometimes downright painful, and nobody wants that. So we're bringing the joy back to wedding planning. Are you ready? All right, let's do this. Now, in our last video, we talked about building your dream team. Step 4 was all about building your dream team. We talked through some really important tips to help you as you're starting to think through hiring and looking for your vendor team. So if you haven't checked that video out yet, you're going to want to do that first and then come back to this one. Because today we are talking about step number 5, which once again is step 5 of 7. So you're going to want to make sure you hit subscribe so you get all of the following videos. Okay, so let's dive in here. Step number 5. 5 is all about logistics. So once you've built your foundation, you've gotten organized, you've created your design, you've built your dream team, then it's time for your logistics. Because you can't plan out the day and all those details until you know who the players are and kind of what the plan is. And so this is when logistics really come into play. Now, I know logistics isn't super sexy and a lot of people don't really like it so much. And if we're being honest, it can be kind of scary because this is where it can just all fall apart, like just completely fall apart, because this part is super crucial to making sure that your wedding day goes smoothly and that you have that best wedding ever that you want. So it's a really big part. It's a really important step in this process. It's also really important as a part of this process that you have a good organizational system, which, if you remember, step number 2, because there are a ton of moving parts. So much. You're dealing with schedules, and you're dealing with time frames, and you're dealing with timelines, and you're dealing with vendor needs, and getting all those things to fit together. And we cover all of this in Passport to Joy. But today, what I really want to do is give you a few tips that will really just help you with your logistics as you're working through it, as you're thinking through it. Now, the first one, I was going to say it's the biggie, but they're all big, but this one's pretty huge. Like without this, it really will kind of all fall apart. And that is communication. Communication is so key, and logistics, good logistics and making sure everything works is all about communication. Because, we talked about building a team, right? In our last video, in step 4, we talked about building that dream team. And what that means is that you have this team, but you're the CEO, you're the captain, you're the leader. And so communication is really important to making sure that your team knows what they're doing and all of the logistics and the little pieces all work out. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so what does this mean? It means, first off, sharing information, and sharing information even if you think it might be too much. So your vendors will ask you questions throughout the planning process, but as things develop, as things change, as you make decisions, you need to keep them informed, because any changes and decisions can affect them, and in turn you and your wedding, and sometimes kind of drastically. Because that's kind of the thing with logistics. Like one thing affects another thing, and you have to get all of those, once again, moving pieces to work together. And so communication really helps a lot with that, like a lot. But it's not just about sharing information. It's also about asking and getting information. So finding out what your vendors need, because you're going to need to make sure you take care of those pieces as well. And it could be something like, a table and linen for their stuff. It could be something like understanding what kind of power needs they have, or it could be just, access to a sink. You need to have those conversations though and make sure that the information is being shared both ways. In addition to that, you also want to make sure that your vendors are talking to each other, because many times they'll need to coordinate. They may want to talk about their sort of internal plans so that everybody's good, so that sound is good for everybody, so that power is good for everybody, so that they don't get in each other's way. So you want to make sure you connect your vendors as well. Because once again, the overarching thing with this is communication, and I just cannot stress the importance, because there are so many horror stories that I've heard where one thing just wasn't communicated and everything just fell apart. And you really, really don't want that. So make sure you communicate. Even if you over communicate, that's okay. Communicate, and then communicate some more. All right. Now, another tip that I think is going to be really big is, or just, I guess I should say, is big because the item is big. And that is, with logistics, there are kind of there are many pieces, but two kind of massive pieces that'll play a huge part in your logistics. And that's your schedule and your floor plan. Two biggies, right? I'm sure you know this already. These are two big things that will help all those moving pieces work. Now, there are really two tips around this that I want to give you. So the first is to ask your vendors for help. We talked about your vendors being sort of your most underutilized resource in our last video, and it's quite true. They, once again, have a wealth of knowledge. So ask for their input, ask for their advice, get their input on creating those two pieces, your schedule and your floor plan. And when you do, it makes sure it works for everyone. It also plays a part in your communication, which means it makes sure everyone's on the same page and allows you to sort of hit those two birds with one stone, right? And let's not forget that by asking for help, it also makes it easier on you, which, hello, everyone wants that. So ask your vendors for help, get their input, and use that to help put those two pieces, those big pieces together. Now, the second tip here is that complete is much, much better than perfect. So some people will say that, you need your schedule or your floor plan to be in a certain format, or it needs to look a certain way, or it has to be to scale. And while having a floor plan that's to scale is great, and a perfect schedule is wonderful, it's much more important that it be complete, that your schedule and floor plan is complete rather than being perfect. So here's what I mean. It doesn't matter, what program you use. It doesn't matter how you create it. It doesn't even matter how it really looks, in all honesty. As long as it has all of the pertinent information and is complete, that's really what you need. So remember, if you're working through this and you're starting to worry because it just doesn't look great, or you're not a, architect, don't worry about it, okay? Remember, complete is better than perfect. And as you're working through it, if you're wondering whether, this information or that information is something you need on there, similarly with communication, more is better than less. So when in doubt, put it on there. Now, once you've sort of worked through all these pieces, you've thought through your schedule and your floor plan and gotten your logistics in good order, then comes step 6, which we'll be talking about in our next video. So make sure you subscribe to get that one. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. And here's the question today. What worries you about logistics? Because I know this is an area that freaks a lot of people out and is nerve-wracking because you want to make sure everything works. So let me know. Leave it in a comment below and I will help you out. All right, if you liked today's video, please like it. Give us some thumbs up. If you want to check out even more wedding planning videos and tips, there are more here on our channel. And make sure you hit subscribe to get all the new ones. And if you want help with all of your logistics and the entire wedding planning process, please check out my online course, Passport to Joy. You can find all the links below because you deserve to enjoy your engagement, no matter what your budget is. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.